Welcome. We are at Sibos 2025, the SWIFT event, the only event that captures every international banker, every international company, anybody in international finance. And it's here in one of the financial centers of Europe, Frankfurt, Germany, a great host city. I'm also here to try to find some interesting things for you. And boy, do I have a good guest for you right now. Pavan, how are you? And welcome to Financial IT.
I'm fine. Thanks, Chris.
Great, great. It's a pleasure to have you once again. You've been a frequent guest for us, and we're really pleased with that. But tell us a little bit about Ericsson and what you guys are looking to do.
Ericsson is the biggest telecommunications company in the world that has been doing business for the last 150 years. Okay, but a little known fact is that for the last 15 years, me and many in my team are also building fintech platforms that are offering to different customers out there, okay? And that is my role to see how through our Ericsson technology, we can really power payments, transfers, loans, so that our customers can create financial services ecosystem and serve their customers, whether it is for financial inclusion, whether it is for financial availability, or it is for financial convenience reasons.
Well, Pavan, you mentioned some exciting things there. And yeah, I mean, when people think of Ericsson, they think about the huge telecom company, and you wouldn't imagine the kind of the fintech side, but it really makes a lot of sense. You know, you have huge banks out there that are looking to see what fintech is doing, and you have huge telecoms out there looking to do the same thing. And there's regulation on both sides. Security is important on both sides. So how do you kind of walk that line of being able to deliver the innovative solutions that we see being turned out and but be able to incorporate them into the secure, trusted platform that is Ericsson?
No, look, firstly, Ericsson has always championed the cause of innovation. That is what led us this 15-year journey. We took the small steps to today processing the transactions that are in billions and transactional value in billions, okay? It all boils down to trust. It all boils down to security, because only on the basis of security and trust can you create a foundation for stability and scale, okay? And it is there where we have tried to do an incremental approach of our technology offerings, whether it is from transfers, payments in the first phase, going to the complex remittance, overdrafts, to today looking into how we can help create an open API ecosystem, look into lending capabilities, buy now, pay later capabilities, right? And that all goes down to security, trust, scalability. And once you have that, right, then we can take the message to the ones that are looking for transformation in this digital age to trust a brand like Ericsson to get the job done.
Well, you know, it's interesting. The famous words of Ronald Reagan, trust but verify. But in our industry, both in the banking and in the telecom, and in your kind of the convergence of the two, you know, it's verify and then trust. So for me, one of the things you mentioned earlier was interesting too, when you talked about really the unbanked. And for me, it's hard to really see that the unbanked need banks, but what they do need is they need a fast, easy way to pay and get paid and be able to access other services. How are you addressing that challenge?
No, look, like I mentioned, when we were looking into the innovation of our fintech platform, right? Financial inclusion was one of the key pillars, okay?
Yes.
And that just was not for having technology for good, you know, but it was also to be having a solution that fulfills corporate social responsibilities and many of the social development goals, you know? And it is there where we have seen the might of our technology together with our partners, you know, when they have deployed it in the ecosystem, how they have helped small SMEs, how they have helped women, how they have helped consumers and retailers scale the business and really transform from cash to digital, you know, at a speed that we have never seen before.
Well, you know, it's interesting, all those things you mentioned, as well as small business, but for you guys, large corporates are also home, and you're able to provide, you know, really at the touch of your phone, all the services that someone would need. And when I look at the younger generations, what I call the digital natives, right? They only want on the phone. these people will never go inside a bank.
No, absolutely.
So you're well positioned.
No, absolutely. Look, I mean, the amount of data that is processed through mobiles, especially with the advent of 5G, where the value is gone to the apps, and the one that is having the best consumer experience, is the one that is attracting the new entrants, especially the younger generation, more digital savvy, but it is also taking an effect on my age group and my parents, they weren't transacting digitally 5-7 years ago, but today they transact every day on that. So there is a fundamental change in how everyone, no matter the age bracket, is adopting to mobile connectivity in order to transact digitally.
Well, you brought up some good things. I mean, for me and for you also, we were not born with these things. These things were not available. We've constantly keep having to learn and relearn and what's new, what's up. But the kids today, they have it right away. And what you're able to provide for them is exactly what the market needs.
Correct. I mean, look, I was 16 when I saw my first mobile device, right? And that was an Ericsson device,
Of course.
Little did I know that I would be in Ericsson, and take a 20-year journey. And it is true that, today with mobile connectivity, that Ericsson is championing for many a decade, close to a century and a half. That is the root of how we can really bring value, for innovation to happen on the value chain ground up and create this digital financial services for everyone to transact at the click of a button.
So I want to just switch topics just a little bit. And, we've talked about the wallets and bank accounts, but really a lot of that now is based on digital currencies, which is, it's interesting. It's here now. It's going to get stronger in the future. How does Ericsson address that?
No, look, Ericsson is closely monitoring all the regulations that are happening. There are many proof of concepts that different governments are looking at, whether you look at the Digital Euro initiative in Europe, whether you look at the Genius Act with stablecoins in the US that has happened recently, we are constantly monitoring the regulatory space, and looking into how we comply to regulations, because that is key to offering any technology. So customers leveraging that technology can be compliant in their respective jurisdictions. Okay. And it is there where when I look at Sibos as an example, right, we are really seeing how transition from Web2 wallets to Web3 wallets, how transition from wallets to account is really catching its own pace, and slowly but surely as regulations really get more solidified, the proof of concepts go to commercialization, we will see the advent of next generation of fiat currencies.
Well, it's interesting because the regulations, I think, really have encouraged a lot of the growth that we've seen recently, especially in traditional financial space. The banks are interested, right? You guys are interested. Regulation really kind of is the key to that. But in your case versus the banks, people have been doing transactions on their phones. This younger generation, they get on there, they go to some exchange and they're buying and selling their crypto right away. So in effect, you guys have facilitated this great movement that we're seeing.
No, absolutely. And wherever we have the opportunity, we support our customers in looking into different regulations, whether it is in Europe, whether it is in Middle East, whether it is in Africa, in order to see how our technology can continue to facilitate the improvement of regulations, With new innovations happening, the regulatory space also has to kind of look into incorporation of new ways, And that's the only way we can kind of have this ecosystem of trust in order to ensure that we secure the rights of the consumer and prevent fraud to a largest extent.
Well, we're talking about a lot of things that are going to be part of the future. We're talking about some things now. The future is moving really quickly. What is Ericsson plans for the future?
I think if we look into how the convergence is happening with respect to the fintechs heading towards MVNO offerings and mobile and data plans, the telcos looking into financial services, there are over 300 telecommunications companies or CSPs as we call them, that are offering financial services. There is a large space, that is getting created with this convergence happening. And it is there where unique products, innovations, I talked about transition from Web2 wallets to Web3 wallets, tokenization, the use of AI to mitigate fraud. And it is there where Ericsson is looking into how we can bring new technology solutions to the market in order to not only drive the revenue, but also cut the expenditure and mitigate fraud.
Well, I'll tell you, the future seems bright. Ericsson is leading the way. It's always a pleasure to get to spend a little bit of time with you, Pavan. I look forward to our next time. Thank you very much for joining us at
Thank you,
Financial
Chris.
AT.
It's a pleasure to see you again.